My name is Phyllis Anderson, and I just turned 67 years old last month. I spent 40 years as an elementary school teacher before retiring. On my birthday, my son Thomas said he had a special surprise planned. He drove me across town, but instead of a restaurant, we pulled up at Sunny Pines Nursing Home. I was confused at first, then heartbroken when I realized this was no visit. This was my new home, according to him. But life has a way of balancing things out. 1 week later, I won $42 million in the lottery, and everything changed. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button if you want more stories about standing up for yourself when family lets you down. Thomas was always my pride and joy. As a single mother, I devoted my entire life to giving him everything he needed after his father died when he was just 8 years old. I still remember those early days working as a teacher during school hours, then heading straight to my second job, waiting tables at night. On weekends, I'd pick up administrative work at a local business. Every extra dollar went toward providing Thomas with opportunities. "Mom, you don't have to work so hard," teenage Thomas would say, watching me fall asleep over bill payments at our small kitchen table. "Your future is worth every minute," I'd tell him, and I meant it with all my heart. When he got accepted to Westlake University, I took out a second mortgage on our modest home. 4 years later, I stood in the audience at his graduation ceremony, tears streaming down my face, watching him accept his business degree. "This is as much your achievement as mine," he told me at the celebration dinner afterward. Those words meant everything to me. Thomas landed a job at a financial advisory firm right after college and climbed the ranks quickly. By his 30th birthday, he had his own office and a growing client list. I was so proud watching him thrive. Our Sunday dinners became our sacred tradition. Every week, no matter how busy he got, Thomas would come over to my apartment with groceries. We'd cook together, talk about his work, and I'd share stories about my students. During holidays, we'd spend days preparing elaborate meals and decorating the apartment. Those were my happiest moments. Everything changed when Thomas met Sandra at a company retreat. She was beautiful, ambitious, and worked in the marketing department of a competing firm. Their relationship moved quickly. Within a year, they were married in an elegant ceremony that Sandra's parents mostly arranged. I tried not to feel hurt when most of my suggested guests weren't included due to venue limitations. From the beginning, Sandra kept me at arm's length. Her smiles never reached her eyes when we spoke. At their new house, I noticed my photos were conspicuously absent from their carefully designed living room. "Sandra has a specific aesthetic she's going for," Thomas explained when I mentioned it. Over the last year, things shifted even more dramatically. Thomas began canceling our Sunday dinners often with last-minute texts. "Sorry, Mom, work emergency," or "Sandra planned something with her family." The dinner cancellations became weekly phone calls, which gradually shortened from an hour to quick 10-minute check-ins. When I did see them, Sandra would make subtle comments that stung. "This apartment must be so much to handle at your age," she'd say, looking around at my modest but well-kept home. "Have you heard about those lovely senior communities near the lake? They do everything for you there." I always brushed these comments off. Yes, my arthritis made some days difficult, and occasionally I'd forget small things like where I placed my reading glasses or whether I'd taken my afternoon pill. But who doesn't at 67? I was managing just fine. My neighbors checked on me, and I still volunteered at the school reading program 3 days a week. My independence mattered to me, and I thought Thomas understood that. Little did I know he and Sandra had very different plans for my future plans I'd discover on what should have been one of the happiest days of the year. The morning of my 67th birthday started like any other day. I made my coffee, read the newspaper, and called my old colleague Martha to chat. Around noon, my phone rang. It was Thomas. "Happy birthday, Mom. I've got a special surprise for you. I'll pick you up at 3, okay? Wear something nice." My heart swelled. Perhaps things were improving between us. I spent the next few hours getting ready, putting on my favorite blue dress, the pearl earrings Thomas had given me for my 60th birthday, and even applying makeup, something I rarely bothered with these days. When his car pulled up, I noticed Sandra wasn't with him. That was unusual for a special occasion, but I was secretly relieved to have some time alone with my son. "You look nice, Mom," Thomas said as I got in the car, but his smile seemed strained. During the drive, he was unusually quiet, checking his watch repeatedly and gripping the steering wheel tightly. "Where are we going?" I asked after 20 minutes of driving. "It's a surprise," he replied, not meeting my eyes. You'll see soon. We turned onto Maple Avenue and approached a large building set back from the road. A tasteful sign read, Sunny Pines Nursing Home and Retirement Community. My stomach dropped. Are we visiting someone? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Thomas parked the car but didn't turn off the engine. Mom, I need you to keep an open mind. This is one of the best facilities in the state. Confusion gave way to dawning horror as he took a folder from his briefcase and led me inside. The lobby was pleasant enough with floral-patterned furniture and soft music playing, but the institutional smell of disinfectant couldn't be masked by air fresheners. A woman in a tailored suit approached us with a practiced smile. You must be Mrs. Anderson. I'm Jackie Winters, the director here at Sunny Pines. We're so happy to welcome you to our community. I turned to Thomas, waiting for him to correct this misunderstanding, but instead, he handed Jackie the folder. All the paperwork is signed as we discussed, he said. And here's the check for the first month. Thomas, my voice cracked. What's happening? He finally looked at me, but his eyes were guarded. Mom, we've been talking about this. You need more care than you can get at home. You've been forgetting things, and last month you left the stove on. What if there had been a fire? That had happened once. Once, and I'd only been distracted because he'd called me in the middle of making tea. But I don't need this place, I protested, looking around at residents in wheelchairs being guided to a dining area. I'm fine on my own. Mrs. Anderson, Jackie interjected smoothly, your son has explained everything. We have a lovely room prepared for you with a window facing our garden. Your son has already brought some of your personal items. My things, I repeated numbly. Thomas shifted uncomfortably. Sandra and I packed what you'll need. The rest, well, we had to sell the apartment to cover the costs here. It's expensive, Mom, but worth it for your safety. The room began to spin. You sold my home without telling me. It was necessary, Thomas said firmly. The real estate market is good right now, and we got a fair price. This place isn't cheap, and your pension and savings won't cover it all. Through my shock, I noticed movement outside. Sandra was waiting in the car, scrolling through her phone, not even bothering to come inside. Thomas, please, I whispered, gripping his arm. Don't leave me here. It's my birthday. For a moment, I saw conflict in his eyes, but then Jackie stepped forward with more papers. We just need your signature on these consent forms, Mrs. Anderson, and then we can show you to your room. Thomas checked his watch again. I have a client meeting in 30 minutes. Jackie will take good care of you, Mom. We'll visit soon, I promise. Before I could say another word, he hugged me stiffly, handed me a small overnight bag, and walked out. Through the glass doors, I watched my son drive away with his wife, leaving me among strangers on my birthday. That night, a nursing assistant brought a small cupcake with a single candle to my dinner tray. Happy birthday, she said kindly. I couldn't even find the strength to blow out the candle as tears rolled down my face. The first 3 days at Sunny Pines passed in a haze of disbelief. I barely left the small room I'd been assigned, staring at the unfamiliar walls adorned with generic watercolor paintings. My few personal belongings looked out of place here. Thomas had packed some clothes, my reading glasses, and a few framed photos, but nothing felt like home. My roommate Gladys Miller was 72 and had been at Sunny Pines for 5 years following a severe stroke that affected her left side. She was kind enough, but our forced proximity felt invasive after decades of living independently. You'll get used to it, honey, Gladys told me, on the third morning as she watched me struggle to make the narrow bed with hospital corners the way the staff expected. The first month is the hardest. The thought of being here for a month, let alone permanently, made my chest tighten with panic. The daily routine at Sunny Pines was monotonous and infantilizing. Breakfast served promptly at 7, followed by medication distribution whether you wanted it or not. Morning activities included bingo beginner's chair yoga or craft sessions where we made items that looked like elementary school projects. Lunch at noon afternoon rest period. More structured activities, dinner at 5, and then television in the common room until 8, when most residents were shepherded back to their rooms. The food was bland and institutional, nothing like the home-cooked meals I'd prepared for myself. Everything was overcooked and under-seasoned, served on section trays like those used in school cafeterias. I tried calling Thomas repeatedly, but my calls went straight to voicemail. The one time he answered 4 days after leaving me there, the conversation was brief. I'm in a meeting, Mom. Is it an emergency? Thomas, I want to come home, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. We talked about this. There is no home to go back to. The apartment is sold. This is for the best. Then he was gone, promising to call back later. He never did. The indignities piled up daily. I had to ask permission to go outside to the small courtyard garden. Showers were scheduled twice weekly, supervised by staff members who talked over me as if I weren't there. My arthritis medication was now dispensed one pill at a time by nurses who watched to make sure I swallowed it like I was a child who couldn't be trusted. After the first week, I began observing the other residents more closely. Many were in their 80s and 90s with significant cognitive impairments or physical disabilities. They genuinely needed the level of care provided. But I was different. Despite occasional forgetfulness and arthritis pain, I was fully capable of independent living with minimal support. One staff member, a nurse named Eleanor Johnson, seemed to notice this too. Unlike the others who treated all residents with the same patronizing tone, Eleanor spoke to me like an equal. "You don't belong here, do you?" she asked quietly one evening while checking my blood pressure. "No," I admitted, tears threatening again. "My son decided this was best." Eleanor frowned. "Have you spoken with administration about your situation?" The next day, I requested a meeting with Jackie Winters. She listened politely as I explained that I wanted to leave, that I was capable of caring for myself, and that this had all been arranged without my proper consent. "I understand your frustration, Mrs. Anderson," Jackie said with practiced sympathy. "But your son has medical power of attorney. He's made all the arrangements with your best interests at heart. The transition period is always difficult, but you'll adjust." "But I don't need to be here," I insisted. "Your son mentioned several incidents of memory lapses and unsafe behaviors. We're equipped to prevent those situations from becoming dangerous." It was like talking to a wall. No matter what I said, the response was the same: Thomas knew best, and I should be grateful for such a nice facility. Later that week, I discovered another humiliating detail. When I asked about visiting the facility's salon for a haircut, I was told I had insufficient funds in my personal spending account. "Your son established a monthly allowance of $20 for personal expenses," the activities coordinator explained. "A haircut is $35. $20. After a lifetime of working, saving, and sacrificing, my son had reduced me to a monthly allowance that wouldn't even cover a haircut. The little dignity I had left crumbled further. 10 days after arriving at Sunny Pines, Eleanor found me staring out the window during her shift. "I'm going to the grocery store on my break," she said. "Would you like to come, just for a quick trip to get some air?" The offer of escape, even temporarily, was irresistible. Eleanor signed me out for a supervised therapeutic outing and helped me into her modest sedan. The grocery store's bright lights and normal bustle of shoppers felt overwhelming after days in the nursing home's muted environment. People moved with purpose, making their own choices, going about their lives freely. I'd taken such independence for granted before. As we walked the aisles, I found myself in front of the lottery counter. For decades, I'd maintained a birthday tradition of buying one lottery ticket with the numbers that meant something to me. Thomas's birthday, my wedding date, the day I started teaching, my house number, and 2 lucky numbers. "Would you mind if I bought a lottery ticket?" I asked Eleanor. "It's sort of a birthday tradition I missed last week." "Of course," she replied kindly. I reached into my purse and found a $5 bill, the only cash I had left since Thomas hadn't given me time to go to the bank before whisking me away. I purchased one ticket, carefully selecting my usual numbers, and tucked it into my wallet. Back at Sunny Pines, the ticket was forgotten as days blurred together in a routine of scheduled meals and activities. The crushing reality of my new life left little room for thoughts of anything else. Nearly a week later, Eleanor came to find me during the evening television hour. The weekly lottery drawing was about to be announced. "Didn't you buy a ticket last week?" she asked, sitting beside me in the common room. I'd almost forgotten. Fumbling in my wallet, I found the crumpled ticket just as the drawing began on screen. One by one, the numbered balls appeared. 8, Thomas's birth date. 14, my wedding anniversary. 23, the day I started teaching. 27, my old house number. 32 and 41, my lucky numbers. Eleanor gasped beside me. "Phyllis, those are your numbers?" I stared at the screen in disbelief. The announcer confirmed a single winning ticket had been sold at Morgan's Grocery last week, worth $42 million. That's not possible, I whispered, checking the numbers again and again. Let me see, Eleanor said, taking the ticket gently from my trembling hands. She compared each number carefully. Phyllis, this is the winning ticket. You've won $42 million. My mind couldn't process it. After everything that had happened, the universe had handed me a lifeline in the form of a lottery ticket purchased with my last $5. What do I do? I asked suddenly, aware that several other residents and staff members were looking our way. First, don't tell anyone else, Eleanor whispered. Let me help you verify this officially. The next morning, Eleanor arrived early for her shift and helped me call the State Lottery Commission. They confirmed what seemed impossible. I was indeed the sole winner of the $42 million jackpot. News traveled fast at Sunny Pines despite our attempts at discretion. By lunchtime, the entire staff's attitude toward me had transformed. Jackie Winters, who had dismissed my concerns days earlier, now appeared at my door with a concerned smile. Mrs. Anderson, I understand congratulations are in order. I wanted to let you know that we've discovered some issues with your admittance paperwork. It seems there might have been some procedural oversights. If you're still interested in exploring other living arrangements, we might be able to accommodate that request now. The same woman who had insisted I needed round-the-clock care was suddenly suggesting I might be capable of independence after all. The only thing that had changed was my financial status. Thank you for your concern, I replied coolly. I'll need some time to consider my options. One option I was clear about: Thomas would not learn about my windfall until I was ready. When he finally called that evening, I said nothing about the lottery, only that I was adjusting to Sunny Pines. For once, I was grateful for his lack of interest in the details of my life there. I had decisions to make, and for the first time in years, I had the resources to make them on my terms. The day after confirming my lottery win, I asked Eleanor to help me find a lawyer who specialized in elder rights. She recommended Marilyn Davis, who agreed to meet me at Sunny Pines during visiting hours. Marilyn was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s with a reputation for fiercely defending seniors against exploitation. She reviewed all the paperwork Thomas had signed. This is problematic on several levels, she said, frowning at the documents. The power of attorney appears legitimate, but it doesn't specify long-term care decisions. And there are signatures here that should be yours, not your son's. What does that mean? I asked. It means we have grounds to challenge your placement here. More importantly, we need to secure your lottery winnings before your son becomes aware of them. Under the current arrangement, he could potentially claim control of those funds. The thought of Thomas taking my lottery winnings after what he'd done was unbearable. With Marilyn's guidance, I made several decisive moves in quick succession. First, we established a revocable trust to receive the lottery funds, with me as the primary beneficiary and trustee. Marilyn connected me with Catherine Wong, a respected financial advisor who had no connection to Thomas's firm. We'll create a financial fortress around your assets, Catherine assured me. Your son won't be able to access a penny without your explicit consent. Next came the task of finding somewhere to live. With Marilyn's help, I located a beautiful condo overlooking Wilson Park where I used to take Thomas to feed the ducks when he was little. The irony wasn't lost on me. The condo association offered residents optional services like housekeeping and transportation, but unlike Sunny Pines, these were truly optional. I could maintain my independence while having support available when needed. Working with a geriatric care manager, I arranged for a part-time assistant who would help with heavier household tasks and drive me to appointments when my arthritis flared up. Unlike the nursing home staff, this person would work for me, respecting my autonomy and preferences. Through it all, I changed every contact method Thomas had for me. New phone number, new email address, new physical address. The walls he had built to contain me became the boundaries I established to protect myself. What about your son? Marilyn asked during one of our planning sessions. At some point, you'll need to address the situation with him. She was right. The hurt Thomas had inflicted couldn't be resolved by simply cutting him out of my life, tempting as that was in my darkest moments. I needed to understand why he had betrayed me so completely, and I needed him to understand the consequences of his actions. Alongside these practical arrangements, I began seeing Dr. Lisa Ramirez, a therapist specializing in family trauma. Our sessions helped me process the complex emotions of being discarded by my own child. What hurts most, I admitted during one session, is that I gave him everything, and in return, he treated me like a burden to be warehoused and forgotten. Your pain is valid, Dr. Ramirez responded. But remember that reclaiming your power doesn't require his understanding or approval. Those words stayed with me as I rebuilt my life outside Sunny Pine's walls. Before leaving, I made two important connections. I gave Gladys my contact information and promised to stay in touch. Despite our different circumstances, she had become a friend during my darkest days. I also arranged to continue my friendship with Eleanor, whose kindness had quite literally changed my life. 3 weeks after winning the lottery, I moved into my new condo, furnished exactly as I wanted. No one could sell it out from under me or tell me how to live in it. For the first time in weeks, I slept peacefully, knowing that when morning came, the day's schedule would be mine to determine. The time had come to contact Thomas. 2 weeks after I left Sunny Pines, Thomas finally realized I was gone. The nursing home, bound by privacy laws after my formal discharge, would only tell him that I was no longer a resident. His increasingly panicked voicemails to my old phone number went unanswered. Marilyn arranged a meeting at the Capitol Grill, an upscale restaurant downtown that Thomas frequented with clients. The choice was deliberate, a neutral yet public location where he would feel comfortable but couldn't make a scene. I arrived early with Marilyn dressed in a new pantsuit that fit perfectly, my hair freshly styled. I looked nothing like the defeated woman Thomas had abandoned at Sunny Pines a month earlier. When Thomas walked in scanning the restaurant, I almost felt sorry for him. He looked stressed with dark circles under his eyes and his usually immaculate appearance slightly disheveled. Almost sorry, but not quite. His expression when he spotted me was a mixture of relief and confusion, especially when he noticed Marilyn beside me. "Mom." He approached the table cautiously. "What's going on? I've been worried sick. The nursing home wouldn't tell me anything, and your phone is disconnected." "Hello, Thomas," I said calmly. "This is my attorney, Marilyn Davis. Please have a seat." "Attorney Mom, what is this about?" He remained standing, looking increasingly uncomfortable. "Please, sit down, Mr. Anderson," Marilyn said firmly. "Your mother has some important matters to discuss with you." Reluctantly, Thomas sat, his eyes darting between us. "Is this about Sunny Pine's look? I know you were upset, but it really was the best option for your situation." "My situation?" I repeated slowly. "Let's talk about that. You made decisions about my life without my consent. You sold my home, my belongings, and placed me in a facility I didn't need or want. You reduced me to a $20 monthly allowance after I spent my entire life providing for you." Thomas shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, you're exaggerating. We discussed senior living options several times." "No, Thomas. Sandra made snide comments and you nodded along. That's not a discussion." "You are becoming forgetful," he protested. "The stove incident could have been a disaster." "One incident, Thomas. One. And yet you decided I was incapable of managing my own life. I was worried about you living alone. What if you fell? What if there was an emergency? There are many options between living completely independently and being placed in a nursing home against my will. Options you never bothered to explore with me." Thomas's defensive posture slowly deflated. The apartment was expensive to maintain, and Sunny Pines costs a fortune. We couldn't afford both. "Be honest, Thomas. This wasn't about money, at least, not my money." He looked away, unable to meet my eyes. "Sandra wanted to renovate your kitchen and master bathroom," I continued. "That's why you needed to sell my apartment quickly, wasn't it? Not for my care costs, but for your home improvements." His silence was confirmation enough. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, leaning forward. "I have secured new living arrangements that suit my needs and preferences. I have revoked your power of attorney. And you should know that 1 week after you left me at Sunny Pines, I won the lottery." Thomas's head snapped up, eyes widening. "The lottery? You mean the $42 million jackpot from last month? That was you." "Yes. Ironic, isn't it? The mother you couldn't afford to care for properly is now a multimillionaire." "Mom, He began, his tone shifting to something more placating. If I'd known. That's exactly the point, Thomas. My worth as your mother shouldn't depend on my bank account. Yet here you are suddenly interested in my well-being now that I have money. That's not fair, he protested weakly. What's not fair is abandoning your mother at a nursing home on her birthday after she sacrificed everything to give you a good life. Thomas fell silent, the truth of my words hanging between us. I've established a trust for my lottery winnings, I continued. You have no access to it, nor will you. I've changed my phone number, my email, and my address. If you want any relationship with me moving forward, it will be on my terms. What terms? He asked quietly. First, family counseling, not once or twice, but ongoing. Second, supervised visits only, at least initially. Third, a genuine apology, not just to me, but to Gladys and the other Sunny Pines residents you exposed me to when I didn't belong there. And finally, complete transparency about your financial situation and any role Sandra played in the decision to discard me. Thomas looked stunned. Mom, this is extreme. We're family. Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me, I replied. These aren't punishments, Thomas. They're boundaries. Something I should have established long ago. As the reality of the situation sank in, Thomas's facade crumbled completely. I never meant to hurt you, he whispered. Things with Sandra have been difficult. The renovations, her parents moving in with us, it all got complicated. Those complications weren't mine to bear, I said simply. You made your choices. Now I'm making mine. For the first time since I could remember, Thomas looked at me and truly saw me. Not as a responsibility or a problem to solve, but as a person with dignity and autonomy. It was a start, but only that. The road to rebuilding trust, if possible at all, would be long and uncertain. As we left the restaurant, Marilyn squeezed my hand. You did wonderfully, she said. Walking to the car, I stood taller than I had in years. Whether Thomas chose to respect my boundaries or not, I had reclaimed my power. That was a victory no one could take away. 6 months after winning the lottery and leaving Sunny Pines, my life had transformed in ways I never imagined possible. My condo became not just a home, but a sanctuary where I could age with dignity on my own terms. I channeled a significant portion of my lottery winnings into creating the Dignity First Foundation, focused on helping seniors maintain independence and secure their legal rights. Working with elder advocates and social workers, we developed programs to provide free legal assistance to seniors facing institutional placement against their wishes. Every Tuesday, Gladys and I meet for lunch. After learning about her situation at Sunny Pines, where she remained primarily due to financial constraints rather than medical necessity, I helped her move to Riverside Assisted Living, a facility that offered the specific support she needed while respecting her autonomy. The friendship that began in our shared room at Sunny Pines blossomed into one of the most authentic relationships of my life. Eleanor left her nursing job to become the program director at Dignity First, bringing her compassion and insights to help others. Sometimes we laugh about how buying that lottery ticket changed both our lives, but the truth is, the real change came from recognizing our own worth and standing up for it. Thomas and I have begun the long process of rebuilding our relationship. It hasn't been easy. Our first family counseling session revealed the extent to which Sandra had pressured him about my living situation, but also exposed his own willingness to dismiss my wishes for convenience. He's attending individual therapy now, gradually coming to terms with the harm he caused, and showing what seems to be genuine remorse. We meet once a month for lunch, still supervised by a family mediator. Small steps, but meaningful ones. I don't know if we'll ever recapture the closeness we once had, but we're working towards something new that includes mutual respect. The hardest lesson I've learned through this journey is that forgiveness isn't an obligation or a one-time event. It's a process that happens at my own pace, neither hurried by Thomas's apologies nor delayed by lingering hurt. Some days I feel the warmth of compassion toward my son, remembering the little boy who once adored me. Other days the betrayal still stings sharply. Both reactions are valid parts of healing. I've become passionate about educating other seniors about protecting themselves legally. Simple steps like updating wills, establishing clear powers of attorney with specific limitations, and documenting care preferences can prevent situations like mine. At community centers and senior groups, I share my story as a cautionary tale with a surprisingly hopeful ending. Money revealed the true character of many people in my life. Thomas's transformation from devoted son to callous caretaker and back to a contrite adult child mirrored the nursing home's sudden discovery of paperwork issues once my financial status changed. These painful revelations taught me to value relationships based on genuine connection rather than convenience or obligation. My wealth hasn't made me happier in itself, but the freedom it provides has allowed me to create a life aligned with my values and surrounded by people who truly see me. I've found purpose in helping others maintain their dignity in their later years, joy in simple pleasures I choose for myself, and peace in setting boundaries that protect my well being. True wealth isn't measured in lottery winnings, but in being surrounded by people who respect your dignity and honor your autonomy. I didn't need millions to deserve that respect, none of us do, but I'm using mine to make sure others don't have to fight as hard as I did to maintain their independence. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself against family who thought they knew what was best for you? Share your story in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and like this video so others can learn about protecting their dignity and independence. Thank you for listening. And remember, your worth never diminishes with age, and neither should your voice in decisions about your life.